Well, good evening. Good evening. Happy Tuesday. All my days look alike. That's the life of an entrepreneur. It's today, Tuesday, you all. Deal
Indeed.
Architect. Happy Tuesday. I hope everyone is doing well. It is a pleasure to be connecting with you all once again. Welcome to Deal Architect Live. I am your host, Kimberly Caldwell, hailing from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I am surrounded by greatness. So please, Deal Architects, please just introduce yourselves. We're not going to assume that everyone knows who we are just yet. Please tell us who you are and where you are hailing from, and we'll start with our lovely Lisa.
My name is Lisa Pride. I am in Houston, Texas, by way of Chicago, my hometown. I always claim the hometown. And I am a realtor here in the Houston area. I've been in real estate for about we're going on 9 years now. Jumped into the investment game and I'm trying to take it to the next level. Let me rephrase that. I am taking it to the next level.
Yes,
Good.
we are. Yes, we are. I like that. I like that. Mindset is everything, right, Lisa?
Absolutely.
All right, so let's toss it over to Stephen Mendiola. Tell us who you are, your background.
My name is Stephen Mendiola. I'm from Houston, Texas, born and raised. I was in the construction industry for 22 years before I decided to get back into real estate. And I say back into real estate because as a young man in high school, I helped my father build a small community in the neighborhood that we lived in. And then he purchased some trailers and a couple little apartments, and I managed those, collected rent, repaired those. And now it's 22 years later, I decided, I'm tired of working for somebody else. So I decided to get back into real estate. And I don't think I'll ever work for anyone else again because this is truly about the freedom for me.
About the freedom. I can definitely relate to that. And I'm so glad that you spoke about your exposure to real estate. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But our
Mhm.
coach, the founder of the Wolfpack, the Two Comma Movement, the deal architect himself, Eric Parrish, tell the people who you are and where you are hailing from.
Mhm.
All right, I'm Eric Parrish. I am in Conroe, Texas, by way of Chicago, just like Lisa. I've been here so long, though, I may as well. I'm a full-fledged Texan now. Um, I have 33 years in the space, real estate investment space, all my career. So that is all that I do. Um, as Lisa, I mean, as our moderator Kimberly Caldwell says, I am the founder of the Wolfpack, but the Wolfpack is consists of 800 members nationwide, so it's much bigger than me. So let's get ready to go.
Let's get ready to go. Well, let's just start with you, coach. This is a big assignment. And, this is not our first night on. If you're watching for the first time, we welcome you. Go back and check out the replays. But we're going to take our time with this. This is a big assignment, coach. And we're not going to rush people. We're looking to build long term relationships with individuals. We're not talking about a small ticket item. We're talking about investing, people investing their money into real estate. So we want people to know who we are, that we are relatable, that we are people with similar stories as to what they may have. So we're going to take our time tonight and just, we want to hear from you, coach. Why are you on this mission to help as many families as you can get involved with real estate through the Wolfpack?
Well, aside from the fact that I have more than likely made every mistake in the book, and so I want to help everybody else avoid making those mistakes and collectively get in the game and stay in the game, most importantly, to create long-term wealth. Um, if you don't know, we have something called the Wolfpack method. We collaborate. That's one of the most important of our five core values is collaboration. Our methodology, I guess, can say it allows or levels the playing field for the smaller investors. We consider ourselves champions for the small guy because together we make up a juggernaut that can compete with just about anybody. And some of us, if we weren't the fact that we were working together, we couldn't get in the game at all. So that's what it's all about. The 2 comma movement, as you know, the 2 commas or the million. 1 million is the new 100,000. Back in the day, I would say just 10 years ago, $100,000 was a lot of money. Now, that's not enough to sustain us. We need 2 commas. Thus the name 2 comma movement. So each one of us collectively is going after our own individual 2 commas. And the best way to do that is to do it together. We run in packs. Together we run. Alone we crawl.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you bringing up that collaboration right out the gate, because that gives me an opportunity to share why this community is so important to me. Just like Stephen, I was introduced to real estate as a child. My parents were able to invest in property, and I think probably 2 or 3 rental properties, during their lifetime. And I managed those rental properties, Stephen. So I got a taste of what it was like to have tenants who were good and tenants who were not so good. Tenants who had to follow the rules and those that didn't, right? And I was actually able to make my first investment in a lot when I was married. Got a deal for a lot for $10,000. Was able to build on that, build a house and sell it, and then build 2 more. So I had that opportunity to get in the game when I was married. But now that I'm single and 52, I don't have the flexibility or even the financial liberty to make those risks anymore, right? And so to be able to find a community where I can collaborate and get in the game, it just resonated with me. And so that's why I'm here as a part of this community, to be able to get in the game and feel safe that I don't have to lose my dad if I were to make a mistake. So I'm really grateful and definitely, look forward to being a mouthpiece for this community to help more people get involved in real estate. So, Coach, why real estate though? Why real estate?
Well, for the average person, I'll be so bold as to say, for the average person, in the context of creating wealth, real estate is the only way we can do it. Simply because the leveraging power you have. Real estate, it's the only asset that you can get up to 100% leverage. It's a part of the American dream with apple pie and baseball. So everybody knows it. Everybody is proven, tried, and true. And anybody that you can call that has created any amount of wealth, you can best believe that they either created their wealth with real estate, or they keep it with real estate. So it's no question, real estate is the way. That's why.
Okay. Well, let's circle back around to Stephen. He is a deal architect. And first of all, what is a deal architect? We're gonna take our time. What is a deal architect, Coach? And then we're gonna talk to Stephen about this wholesale champ. We wanna find out exactly what that means. So, Coach, what is a deal architect?
Well, deal architect, first of all, is just another name that we use in Wolfpack for entrepreneurs. So there are plenty of entrepreneurs out there, and they are all deal architects, in their space. So at its core, essence, that's what a deal architect, the way we define it, is a person that has developed the skill set of 4 things. Number 1, they know how to organize, gather and organize resources. Right. Number 2, they know how to structure campaigns and deals, marketing campaigns and deals, with what we like to refer to as optimal risk and maximum profit potential for all stakeholders. Okay. So in other words, we make sure everybody wins. And in our community, the tenants win also. We call them home buyer partners. And number 3, we are skilled at raising capital. And what you need to realize is that there are three types of capital. There's human capital, there's social capital, and there's financial capital. So we know how to raise the capital to get the deal done. And there's this fourth one that's eluding me right now. Talked about gathering resources, structuring deals, raising capital. And the third one was important too.
We'll circle around.
That's okay.
We'll be here
look,
a little while longer. We'll circle back around.
We're gonna let that senior moment pass by, Coach.
Yeah, no. I'm entitled to one senior moment a day.
You got it.
I'm
You got it.
Use
You
that
got
up
it
and I'm gonna come back and get that.
We're gonna come back around for it. So Stephen, wholesale champ, talk to us about this wholesale champ. What does that mean?
All right. Well, wholesale champ is just it's a little nickname that some of the family members gave me because we started out in this venture probably, I want to say it was, I actually have an exact date. It was September 5th of 2017, because earlier that year, my mother had passed away. And that's when I started thinking about, I wasn't there at the facility when she passed, and I wanted to get out of where I was at the present moment. I was reading all kinds of books at the time, Think and Grow Rich, and As a Man Thinketh, just different books to get my mindset right. And I knew I wanted to get out of the plant, but earlier that year when she passed, I wasn't there. I was standing in the middle of a construction field building a chemical plant, and I got the call. And at that moment, tears fell out my face, and I just started thinking, what am I doing? I'm wasting my life here in this plant. I got to get out. I got to live my life. I can't be tied up behind these gates. So what I did was I started studying a lot more about real estate. And then December of that year, 17, I started learning about wholesaling and how the process worked. And I just knew there's got to be a way for me to get into real estate, and I don't have the type of money like everybody else. I thought, oh man, you need $100,000 to get into real estate. Well, once I started studying a little bit more, I realized you don't need that much money to get into real estate. And a wholesale deal it's very lucrative, and it's work, right? You got to get out there and you got to put in your sweat equity. You got to go out there, you find you a property, you get it under contract, and you turn around and you sell that contract, not the house. You're selling that contract to another investor. So once I realized I can do that, and I started doing it, and another unfortunate event happened. And right before I closed my first deal, my father passed away. So it was about a year from the date my mom passed away. But the deal with that was I closed the deal right before he passed. So I had enough money to go down there and be by his side when he left this earth. And I was like, this right here is exactly what I want. I want to be able to create enough wealth to where I don't have to be behind a gate or working for somebody else. I can do life on my own terms. So wholesaling is how I started out. I got into that and I started pounding on it. And it was great because I closed another deal while I was down there handling his business. And I closed 2 deals in 1 month. And I was still out there handling my father's estate and everything. And it was like, this is the life. This right here is what I need in my life, because it gives me the opportunity and the freedom to work for myself, do what I need to do. And I was doing this from a laptop and a cell phone. So I want to say it's simple. The work itself, the process is simple, but it's not easy. A lot of people say, oh, it's real easy. No, it's not. It's simple, but easy is completely different. When you start dealing with homeowners who are emotional about their homes, you got to develop relationships, and you got to move, forward with someone who is emotionally tied to a house, right? And later on, as you grow, you can hire acquisition managers to do all that and whatnot. But as you're starting out, you don't need a whole lot of money, and you can wholesale yourself. And then building the strategies and implementing systems puts you in a position to where you can scale this up and get into business with other people. And this is why I like the Wolfpack method, because we are able to collaborate. We're able to have other people do certain projects that we don't want to do, or certain parts of the business. And till date, I have wholesaled 70 deals, or close to 70. I'm like at 68, I believe. And we have given away probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $10 million worth of property. So when Coach talks about making it a win-win, a deal architect gets a deal, knows that on the back end, the other investor is going to make money as well. A lot of people getting into the business, they start off and they get greedy and they say, hey, I'm going to try to get the largest wholesale fee that I possibly can. And it kind of cuts out the back end investor. We don't do that. We try to eliminate that and make a small percentage on the front. That way the investor on the back end could make a larger percentage of the I guess, net income, really. So I just believe that having integrity in this business goes a long way, and working with people, collaborating, and holding each other accountable. This is great. This is why we do what we do, so that we can all learn from each other and move forward. And I think I gotta say that I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm not where I used to be. So thank God for that.
I can
Sound like
relate
to me.
totally.
Sound like to me. They call you the champ because Mama say knock you out.
That's right.
That's why they call you the champ. But let me
Yeah.
circle back, Kim, and have my senior moment.
Okay.
That
We'll
fourth,
let you.
yeah, you asked me what's the deal architect, and I gave you three of them. And let me go back over them. Number one, we can organize and gather and organize the resources necessary to get the job done. Number two, we structure deals with optimal risk and maximum profit potential for all stakeholders. And number three, one of the most important things of an entrepreneur / deal architect in our world, you're able to create that vision. And most importantly, you're able to sell that vision. See, as an entrepreneur, you need to be a visionary. You need to see the big picture. And then you go in and you help everybody else. It's called pathfinding. You help whatever their vision is, you help them see that it aligns with the big picture that you're seeing, and you sell them on that. And it's either doing two things for them. One, their vision is so much, is almost the same as this vision, or this vision is a stepping stone to the vision that they envision for themselves. So either way, you've aligned the two and you sold that vision to them. So that's number three. So number four, of course, you have to know how to raise capital. And the three types of capital we mentioned were human capital, social capital, and financial capital. All three are just as equally important, and human capital is probably the most important one, because one of the things that I had to learn the hard way, hopefully you guys will learn faster than I did, is the power of leverage. Human capital, you're leveraging everything that you lack in skill, resources, whatever, you leverage that from someone else. So you only had to bring one little piece to the table, and you rely on the rest of the group community to bring the rest. You just do that over and over again until you grow that way. So that's the Wolfpack method, and that's what a deal architect does. Skilled at applying the Wolfpack method.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that, Coach, that review, that recap. And we're going to continue to talk about it, because we don't expect our audience to grasp it the first time they hear it. We're going to continue to talk about the roles and what it is that we are here to do together. But Stephen, I wanted to circle back to you, because I appreciate your transparency. You had life to happen, and, life is happening to all of us at any given moment, right? And not until a person makes a decision to do something different will they move. We oftentimes say, when you're sick and tired, being sick and tired.
Absolutely.
That's when you'll move, and not a moment before that. And so I just appreciate your transparency, because someone is out there watching today and they're like, can I really do this? You know, we all have different backgrounds. I'm a medical office manager, started working in the 3rd grade, right? You were working in a plant. Lisa, attorney, realtor. We all have different backgrounds. Someone wants to know, can they do this too? Stephen, what would you say to them?
Absolutely, you can do this. The first thing that stuck in my mind was reading Napoleon Hill's book, and once I got deep into it, and I already knew my emotional state had already changed, and I didn't want to be where I was at anymore. So it says, I believe the quote that stuck with me the best was, to achieve anything, you need a burning desire. And I had a burning desire to get the hell out of the plants. You know, I did not want to be there anymore, because I was there. I'm not kidding. I was there 7 days a week, sometimes 16 hours a day. I lost a lot of family time at that chemical plant. I was an iron worker. I was building chemical plants, the structures, and then I jumped into crane and rigging. I started doing that, and I loved it. Don't get me wrong. It was something that I was passionate about at first, because the money was good. The adrenaline, the rush was just there. I loved doing it. But then it got to the point where I love this, but I love my family more. So why am I here? You know, money's good, but it's not great. So getting back into real estate, you know, it was just like, wow, what a difference. Because being out here, you know, and starting to wholesale, I remember I ran my first appointment after watching a couple videos. I called up a realtor. I ran my first appointment, went and walked the property, and I sounded like I knew what I was doing, but I didn't. I was just going through the motions. And I learned, and like Coach said, you got to experience some of these mistakes yourself. But there's a lot of things that you do not have to experience yourself, because people like me who are willing to teach you how to do this will teach you. And it's not hard to get into it. I mean, like I said, you don't need a whole lot of money either. I mean, my first method was driving for dollars. And that's a method that I'd love to talk about later on. We'll probably have a set on that by itself, because it's really long. Well, the process is long, but driving for dollars is kind of fun. I mean, you drive around, you look for houses, and, you know, from there, you just scale up, and you're able to do this with hardly any money. All you need is a little gas money in your car, a pen, a cell phone, and you can make it happen. And that's how I did it. That's how my first deal worked.
So Stephen, when you decided to jump, was there anything that you had to sacrifice? You know, I know when
No, he just went in and told the boss and said, "Mama said knock you out." That's all he did.
You know, like let's keep it 100. Like, did you have to sacrifice anything when you decided to jump? You know, there's a quote that comes to my mind that says, "Are you willing to live like others won't, so that later you can live like others don't?" Was there anything that you had to sacrifice?
I'm going to tell you this. I got to say no, not really, because I was a rigger, and I did so working on crane and rigging. I was sitting in a Connex one day doing, you know, what I usually do when I'm not doing anything, because as a rigger, I'm on high speed standby a whole lot, right? So I'm sitting there watching videos and whatnot, and I believe I was sitting in this room for about 4 days, just steady making calls. I was literally making calls at the job site to homeowners, and I'm trying to get deals done, right? Well, the first deal that I closed was actually off of a bandit sign that I had put up right down the street from my house. And she called me and she was like, "Hey, I need to get rid of this house like yesterday. Can you come take a look at it?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So I took off over there, and right after work, I went and looked at it, got it under contract, and that was the first deal I closed. But I never stopped working until after I literally got that first check. And when I got that first check for $8,500, I was like, it takes me a month to make $8,500 working in the chemical plant. So I was like, I don't know if I want to come back, right? So then, you know, what happened with my father and everything, and being out there. I happened to have another one under contract right before that happened, and then we closed that one when we were out of town. So it was like, wow, this one was 7,500. So it was like, there's no going back. There's absolutely no going back from that, because that happened within a week, and I was like, if that's possible, I said, there's no reason that I had to go back to work for somebody else. So
that's amazing.
You can. Yeah, there are some people who, they struggle to believe that this is possible, but it's possible. I mean, they're there, they're out there. And a lot of people, this is another analogy I like to use, because a lot of people say, why would you teach somebody to do the same thing you do, like in your area? And I'm like, well, have you ever been to Walmart and you walk down the bread aisle and you see there's Sunbeam, there's Bear, there's Wonder Bread, there's Sun, all of those breads. And let's just say, for example, we have a shortage of, I don't know, we have a hurricane coming. Walk into that aisle and you'll see there is absolutely no bread on the shelf. Everybody's making money, everybody. So there's plenty for everybody to eat. I guarantee it.
I totally agree. And I think once an individual realizes that, there's no stopping them.
Yeah, you can't have that scarcity. The scarcity mentality is what stops people from moving forward. And you can't have that. We all want to help each other be abundant, grow.
There's enough for all of us. Yes, Lisa.
I just wanted to add to that. You asked him, did he have to sacrifice anything? A lot of people assume when you say take the jump, that don't necessarily mean quit your job and just run off and start doing this. And I think that's what a lot of people are fearful of. No, you do it while you're in the space. You go do your job, go get your check so that you can pay your bills, but get started with this as well. Like Stephen said, he had the downtime, right? He's got one of them hurry up and wait jobs where you sit around and wait until it's time for you to do something. Then you have to be in action. So we're not implying, when I got into real estate, I won't say I jumped. I'll kind of say I was pushed when I left the plantation, as I call it. But once I decided, okay, I'm here in this space now, let me go ahead and make it work. And that let me make it work probably took 2 years for me to actually make it work. And there was a lot of hustle and scratch and let me figure this out along the way. But we're not telling anybody to just stop what you're doing, because some people, like Stephen said, he liked what he was doing, but it was taking up too much of his time. So it's not that you have to quit what you're doing. You don't have to quit teaching or quit being an engineer or quit doing whatever it is that you're doing and just say make a hard right and go to real estate. So when we say jump, we don't mean jump off the cliff with no parachute. We do not mean that.
We do not want
we mean jump up into action. That's exactly what we mean.
That's exactly what we mean. And instead of a part-time job, right, start a part-time business.
Yeah, because I could tell you this. I told when I came home and told my wife that I wasn't going back to work, she turned white completely. She was like, what do you mean? What are we going to do? So it's not something that, and we had a conversation about it and we both agreed, hey, if we put all our time into this, and since we had made that money up front, I was like, we put all our time into this, we can do this full time. So wholesaling houses full time is what we started doing. And now, after doing that a few times, we decided we got into a couple different ventures as well. So we've also flipped about 17 houses using partners and whatnot. But it'll just take you on different avenues. And once you get wholesaling, to me, is a way to get into real estate with the least capital possible. And then from there, you'll be able to diversify and go different directions and, make different choices for you and your family. So, it's something great. But like Lisa said, you just don't want to quit your job cold turkey, jump into it, and you haven't made no money yet. You want to establish something that is a system for yourself and then move forward. I got to say that, like, when I was at work and I was making these calls and I'm reading these books and I'm listening to videos, I had guys that were sitting beside me laughing at me. They would literally talk mess to me about me doing this, and I'm just a rigger, or I'm just a crane operator, and what am I doing? And trying to get into real estate. And I'm like, man, y'all got to have a bigger mindset than that. You got to, if you want to change. I mean, I don't want to be here the rest of my life. I don't know about you guys, but you got to change, some way. I mean, this is what I'm doing. So if you guys want to change, do it. So I had two guys from back in the job days contact me recently and say, hey, man, how can we, start doing this? Two different conversations, but ultimately now they're calling. And I was okay. I was like, I see how it works.
They're not laughing anymore, are they, Coach?
Not laughing anymore.
So, Coach, I want to circle back around about leverage. I want people to really understand leverage and how they can maximize, your wisdom, the wisdom of the wholesale champ, and really become successful in this industry. I don't think we talk about, residual income and leveraged income enough. And then, Lisa, we're going to circle back and talk to you as well about, the proper age to get started in real estate and why it's so important to work in a collaborative mastermind group. But first, Coach, talk to us about leverage and how we can benefit from the Wolfpack.
Okay, most people are familiar with the term or the acronym OPM. They know it as other people's money, but in the Wolfpack, we believe in OPE. And let me give you a second to try to figure out what that is. People say other people, what? OPE is other people's everything. We leverage everything from, the money, the time, the skill, the shoelaces, anything the deal needs, we leverage it. And that's the skill you have to develop. And, and one of the biggest mistakes that people make, which is the reason why just across the board, not just in real estate, why we have such a high failure rate, 80, 90% failure rate, because they seem to think they can do it all on their own. There are too many moving parts in any business, particularly real estate. You'd be amazed at any one deal. You look at one real estate transaction where you're looking at it from the retail side or the investment side. There are over 100 people that eat off of that deal, that participate in that one deal. All those moving parts. And in business, you got the marketing, you got the operations, you got the admin, the finance. You got to cover all of those bases. Come in and think we can do all that on our own. So if you're going to survive in business, especially real estate, you have to, and with the even with the technology, back in my heyday, we didn't have this kind of technology. But even with the technology, you still can't do it all alone. It just doesn't make sense. So you have to learn how to leverage everything. And this is what I call the partnership age. Now everybody, you got collaboration. The technology is running right along with it. Collaborate this, collaborate that. So get your mind set, ready to work as partner with people, so you can play your role, master that, and then eventually you can add another role. But you always want to get into a collaborative environment. If you can do that and understand leverage and embrace leverage, I should say. You've increased the odds of your success exponentially. I can't stress that enough.
I've heard it said this way: many hands make a heavy load light. So everyone has a role to play. And, you lean on me and I'll lean on you, and we'll go and make this money. Right, Lisa? We're going to go make this money together. We're all going to be able to eat from that deal, right? So, Lisa, talk to us about, why the Wolfpack for you, successful woman, multiple degrees. Why the Wolfpack for you?
Because Eric made me. No, I'm just kidding.
Eric needed an egghead on this team.
Well, part of it goes back to you can't know and you can't do it all. right? So I needed the wolf pack because I needed the mindset change. I needed to move from a retail realtor mindset to an investor mindset because they're different. They're different sides of the same coin, but they're still very different. So I'm a big believer in coaching. You know, I mean, I was an athlete when I was younger, and I needed a coach to tell me what to do or to help me figure out what to do because I couldn't know it all. You can go read it in the book, you can even watch it on the video, but nothing replaces having someone, you know, walking with you, kind of guiding you through it. So for me, that was the attraction of the wolf pack, and just the supportiveness. I'm big on team. I'm big on community. Um, I like to know that I'm helping somebody else while they're helping me. So for me, it was the whole community. And interestingly enough, before I met Eric and the wolf pack, I always had a favorite. It's some kind of Indian saying about the grandfather telling his grandson about there are two wolves inside of you. You know, one is fear, blah, 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 blah. And the other is optimism, hope, you know, success, courage. And the little boy's question is, well, which wolf will win the battle? And he says, the one you feed.
Mm.
And I used to always post that. I would always post that story on social media, you know. So I was just, you know, which wolf, you know, I would ask people, which wolf are you feeding today? You know, which one of your wolves are you feeding? You know,
You was
I'd
a
post.
you was a Wolfpack member. You just didn't know it. That's
I
all.
just didn't know it, right? I just hadn't found the fact, right? You know, which of your, what are you feeding your wolf today? You know, I'm feeding compassion, I'm feeding strength, I'm feeding them courage, you know. And you know, so when I met, you know, when I went to the event where I actually met Eric, the way he explained and broke things down, and it showed me that, oh hey, I can get into this now, even though I don't have $100,000 set to the side somewhere, even though my credit isn't all the way together yet. I can get into the investment side of it. I don't have to wait, because you know it's always the as soon as I
That's right.
when I so this got rid of the when I as soon as I, you know, I'm a single mom with 3 kids, so some of that as soon as I and that when I is gonna take a while. 'Cause I had a lot going on. I had a lot of balls up in the air. I had a lot of tuition and things that I was paying and medical bills and, you know, everything else. So that the Wolfpack removed that barrier, or didn't remove it. It showed me that that barrier wasn't really a barrier. So that was why the Wolfpack for me, that was the draw to it. It was like, oh, okay, this is a it opened up some new pathways and stuff in my brain and made me start thinking and looking at things a little differently. So that
Well,
was that was
I appreciate again the transparency, you know, and a lot of times people, the first, I guess, first opportunity that people think about when they think about real estate is that I'll become a realtor. Why not think about becoming an investor first? Can you talk about that, Coach and Lisa? Let's have that conversation because you know there are a lot of realtors who are not successful in the industry, as in every industry. In
Mhm.
my industry, a lot of people fail. So let's talk about that.
I think just like Lisa and thousands of other real estate professionals out there are waking up, to the reality that why am I, how can I be in this real estate space and not invest in, create any wealth with it? Because any sales position, as long as sales is a checker game. You're only as good as your next sale. And in retail real estate, you get fired after every deal. You sell a house as a buyer, they're not looking to sell that for 5, 7 years later. So you got to go find another one. So that's a checker game. You're in a chess game. Chess is a sales game. I mean, checkers is profit sales game, but chess is the wealth game. So why in the world would you not invest in real estate and you around it every day? And what's ironic about it, the customers come to them. They are the first point of contact in real estate. Even though 80% of them don't have a clue about real estate investing, people still go to them first because they position themselves that way. But they just don't, So now people are waking up. They're waking up to the fact they need to be hybrid agents. Okay, well, I go in, I'm listing this house. If you want a cash offer, you want to sell it. If you want speed and convenience, here's the offer right now from me. But if you want to take it to market, and if it needs work and you need to fix it up, you don't have the money, then you need speed and convenience. You need a cash offer. Okay, there's that offer. But we also can take it to market and list it for you. So that's what they should have been doing all along. And now everybody's waking up to it. You know what? Woke them up, Wall Street. Offer pad and all the other iBuyers and things like that. Zillow. All they came to town and say, look, they position themselves inside of the real estate industry and said, look, here, if they want to sell it, we're going to make the offer, sell it to us, not you, but sell it to us. And if they want to take the market, you take the market. But if they want to sell it, sell to us. And then agents are now waking up and pushing the iBuyers to the side and say, look, I'm going to make this offer. I may not be able to take it down. I'll sell the contract, I'll wholesale it. And the bottom line is real estate agents and wholesalers are the same. They play the same role anyway. One just uses a listing agreement. The other one uses a contract. So
that's right.
My point is, make a long story short, I know I took the long way around, is that the real estate agent is now waking up and becoming that true, enter a new dimension of entrepreneurship and being an investor as well. And that's go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off, but I have 3 real estate agents who actively send us deals that are off market, and I have actually bought some from them that were on it. So you're right, they are waking up and they are becoming more investor friendly, as is the brokerage as well. And a lot of title companies are moving over as well, because a lot of title companies, like when I first started out 6 years ago, there were a couple title companies that didn't deal with investors at all. And here recently in the last, I want to say 2022, I saw that there were a couple title companies that I was dealing with when I first got started. They were not dealing with investors, and now they're moving that direction. Now their ads are coming out that they are investor friendly now. So they're all starting to get on board. And I think, this market shift right here that we're going through right now I think that is a dramatic change for a lot of them. So things are shifting. And I mean, personally, building relationships with realtors, I think it's a good collaboration.
So as we wrap up the last 15 minutes, I think it's important to speak to our audience about next steps. I've enjoyed the conversation tonight, but how do I get involved? What was that defining moment for you, Stephen, to join the Wolfpack? How did you learn about this community?
I learned about the Wolfpack through Coach Eric. We are always working together in different avenues, but as he broke it down to me and showed me a few things that I did not know from his experiences, I mean, that right there is just, it's priceless. You cannot take the experience of someone else for granted. That there, it just lays it out for you to play it out and not make mistakes that he has made in the past. So I just think, having conversations with people and letting them know, hey, where are you at? Where do you want to go? Well, this is direction we're going. And then we got to get together and figure out if we are a good fit, right? And I think that's like you were talking about, building relationships with people. Anybody that you talk to, you're selling yourself or the group. You're selling something. Y'all are trying to even if it later on becomes a friendship, a bond of some sort, you are selling yourself to that individual. So getting to know what the whole process is, and a lot of people should, I say this because I did this, get on YouTube University, learn a little bit about real estate before you actually take a leap into, a conversation that you know nothing about. So learn just a little, even if it's acronyms of words that, like let's say ARB, for instance, even if it's small acronyms that you're just picking up, and, a little bit of knowledge goes a long way when you're having a conversation. So I think, like I said, it's free. Go to YouTube University and learn. Just learn a little bit.
Right. I love it. YouTube University. I know Coach says all the time, you are going to have to invest something, either time or money. And so that's a great place to start. Check out YouTube. Go back and watch our first YouTube podcast. What is this, you all? What are we doing?
The
Go back.
podcast. Yeah,
Go
absolutely.
back and watch the first one, and then you can start plugging in on our Zoom meetings Monday through Friday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? And the information will be placed, I believe, along the bottom of this presentation. But Coach, what advice would you give someone who is brand new and they want to get in the game?
Be coachable and teachable, and take advantage of the information that's being, it used to be the information highway, super highway. Now it's the information galaxy. So there's no shortage of information. There's no shortage of training. We have every morning, we have a deal lab in real time talking about our deals. So tune in. And there are a lot of other resources out there. Go to our website, schedule a session with one of us to come up with an action plan, because everybody's situation is different, But just like Kim said, be ready to invest time or money. Put your investor hat on. We always say, leave the consumer at home when you come to work. When you come to work, put your investor hat on and be ready to invest time or money, because there's no way, it is absurd for you to expect a return on investment, or ROI, another acronym, if you have nothing invested. You've invested the time, you can expect a return. You've invested some money, you can expect a return. And so we just need to come up with a plan so you can effectively do that, efficiently do that, and get to profit as fast as possible.
A lot of people start off and they don't have money. They get into real estate, want to acquire some sort of money, right? And that's time. And that's why I like wholesaling, and I'll revert back to that, because you can wholesale a deal to an investor. A lot of people start off also going to meetups, going to, your local real estate meetings. We usually have like 3 or 4 a week here in Houston. They're just different, people from all walks of life. And it's most of the time, they have free beer and fajitas, or free beer and food of some sort. You go, you enjoy yourself, you listen to a guest speaker, you get involved with the community, and you start talking to other people about real estate investing. And I mean, that's investing time. So you get out there, you invest your time, and you meet people, you collaborate with them as well. You just get to know, what it is they do and whatnot. And you can also come to us at this group on our podcast, or like the 7:30 meetings in the mornings. You can come to those, and we talk about deals as we go through them. So it's just different little nuggets that you pull from every conversation you have will be beneficial to you. But if you have no money, you want to invest some time. You want to communicate with other investors. You want to get to the point where you can carry a conversation about real estate investing with someone. But wholesaling is getting a house under contract and then giving it to another investor for a fee. Okay. And later on, like I said, we'll get into that more in depth. But that right there, I would say, would be one of the quickest ways to get into real estate investing with little to no money, and you can make good profits. I'm going to throw one out there that I made $22,000 on. I didn't think I was going to make that much. And when I went and spoke with the seller of the house, she said, "Hey, look, I have an illness. My partner has a illness as well. We just want to get rid of it. We want this amount of the house for the house." I ran the numbers and was like, "That's unbelievable." Okay. So we gave them that amount. I turned around. And when I say we gave them that amount, I called someone that I knew that wanted a house in that area because it's a little far from me. And I said, "Yeah, let's work something out." And I made $22,000 in probably less than 2 hours. And it was fairly easy. But that's one in a million. It's an anomaly. It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes, like I said, the transaction is simple, but the process is not easy. So
one of the things we've done in the Wolfpack, we've broken the deal into 18 different real estate revenue streams. So there's always a place to start. So go to the website, twocommamovement.com, and download the ebook on how to activate up to 18 revenue streams systematically. You start with one or two, then systematically add one on at a time until you get them all.
Absolutely.
That's lower risk and easier, leveraging the capacity, more capacity to get in and stay in the game. So just
multiple
like
streams of income.
Absolutely. That's another thing. Multiple streams of income, all inside the real estate space.
And I believe there's an ebook available.
Yes.
For signing up.
There is.
Absolutely. At the website, there's an ebook, so download it.
Well, as
coming to audio soon. We're gonna do an audio version of it.
I like it.
We got the radio talent.
Yeah, before Kim moves on, I wanted to earlier you asked Stephen, what did he give up? There are some things that people can give up to get started in real estate. Some of them are tangible, some of them are intangible. I made a list. Y'all want to hear? Here it goes.
Yes, we do.
Come on with it. Go on.
Some of the intangible things you have to give up is your thinking. You have to remember, I talked about changing your mindset. So you have to give up being lazy. You have to give up wanting to chill. You got to get in gear. You got to get some motion. Some of the tangible things you may need to give up. You may need to give up Starbucks so you have enough gas money to go drive for dollars. Yeah. Right? You may need to give up the club or whatever your vice is. Everybody got their little things that they blow. They're based. Let's call it what it is. We blow money on stuff. It may be, you got to go a couple of weeks without getting your nails done. Whatever the case may be. There are some things that you need to give up. You may need to give up watching TV. You may need to give up Netflix. You may need to give up a certain group of people that you hang out with that aren't moving in the same direction that you're moving in.
Ooh,
so there are some things that
we need a moment of silence on that one. We need to digest that one.
Yeah, and I heard somebody that said everybody can't go where you're going. Everybody isn't called to go where you're going, and they may be friends, they may be family, they may be a lot of times I think it's just people you holding on to that ain't really serving a purpose or not serving your purpose in life. So yeah, sometimes we gotta cut those cords and just let go of some stuff. It may be some expensive habit that you have. Whatever it is, you may have to give up some things, but don't look at it negatively. What is the saying? God can't put something in your hand if your hand is closed because you're holding on to something you don't need to be holding on to. Mm-hmm. But once you let it go, right, he can pour, the universe can, whatever you call the creator, the spiritual laws work. Whoever you put at the head of them, they're all still the same. They all work in the same manner. So sometimes we're holding on to stuff that we don't need to be holding on to. You may need to lose your old focus, right? and find a new focus, to focus on what you want. You know, right now we're all reading The Strangest Secret, right? You know, what are you can have whatever you think you can have. It's about your mind, you know. So you may have to let go of some stuff and get rid of some things and some people and some places.
All of the above, or all
Yeah.
of the above, right? So,
So,
you
yeah.
know, thank you for sharing that, Lisa. I want to just kind of close out by talking about in the beginning, because a lot of times people coach you from where they are now versus when they started 15, 20, 30 years ago. Take us back to who you were 30 years ago, coach, and encourage someone who's like, you know what, that sounds good. You know, I think I can do it. I'm gonna join this Zoom tomorrow morning. Um, Talk about even overwhelmed, because I know when I started a year ago, it's a lot of information, and that feeling of
Mhm.
overwhelm is real. But take us back to 30 years ago, who you were and how was your mind at that time?
Well, 30 years ago, lint in my pockets,
Lent.
just
Lent.
starting out.
Lent.
Yeah, lint. Yeah, lint. You know, couldn't even. You know, not that. Just by the way, lint it weighs less than a nickel, and I I just got some. I got books. I don't know, you guys. You know, might not be old enough to know about Carlton Sheets, but I got his books and tapes.
I got his tapes.
I got his books and tape. Back then, you know, what is a tape deck? You know, you had the cassette tapes and
Mhm.
big book. Most people would use those for book. What you call them? Bookmarks or
Bookends. Bookends.
bookends. You know, let the dust settle. But I didn't. You know, I got the book and I read it. I know I didn't have any money. All I heard him say was no money down. I said, okay, if he said I can do the money down, I know I'm the best student on the planet. So I'm gonna do exactly what he said do. And I went out and did it. I went out and put a deal together, seller finance, creative finance, and bought my first rental property. And I was like, okay, you know, I can do this. You know, but my friends, they still didn't believe me. You know, that's just look, guy, you can't do that. So I went out and did it again and again and again and again. Point is, you know, I didn't have any money. And even after that, when I made it, lost it all, still didn't have any money. Just like Steven mentioned earlier, you don't need money to get in this game. Real estate is the most leverageable asset in the world. You don't need money. You can borrow against it 100% just from different sources. All you got to do is get in and learn the game. You know, it's in any business. Learn the game. That's how it was for me. 30 years of hard, I went to U of A's University Hard Knocks, got 3 or 4 degrees from U of H K, University Hard Knocks. And but like I say, you don't have to do that. You can come here and team up. You know, there's two benefits to the Wolfpack method that we didn't mention. It has to do with risk. You know, when we get into it, we always look at risk first, profit second. Now, when you come in and do a deal, first thing we do, we spread the risk. There's going to be 2 or more people involved. So you don't have to shoulder all of the risk yourself. So if we short $2,000, then it's 4 of us. Okay, we just got to come up with 500 apiece. And the last thing we do, you know, let me do this in about 15 seconds. We do something we call reverse wholesale. We sell it first, then we go buy. You can't get any safer than that. Sell it at a higher price, then we go buy, or build it at a lower price. So we reduce the risk. And if we can reduce the risk, then the profit, you know, is that much better. So again, go to the website, join the movement, you know, be ready to invest time and money, and let's go get this together.
And we all
And,
said
and
you are
Steven
on.
said, do like Steven. He said, Mama said, knock you out.
That's right. That's right.
And in our coach's voice, you are only one
One
conversation
conversation away from
away
your next
from your
deal.
next
From your
from your
next
next
deal.
deal.
That's it. That's our saying. You're only one conversation away from the next deal, and without conversations, there will be no cash flow. So let's go.
Let's go. You all have a good evening. We'll see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night for real.